Today we're going to be looking at the factored form of a quadratic function. So by the end of this entire lesson, we will be able to write quadratic equations in factored form. We'll be able to use that factored form to identify the zeros, which is our fancy word for x-intercepts, and also determine the intervals over which the quadratic function is positive and negative. So overall, the factored form of the quadratic function is used to find the zeros of the function by identifying the value that makes one or both of the factors equal to 0. So we're going to start just by factoring. So you are given a quadratic. We have an x squared, an x, and a constant. So remember, what determines if it's a quadratic is the fact that we have an exponent of 2. And they're asked to factor. So when we're asked to factor, what we're doing is we're breaking down our trinomial. We're going to call this trinomial, and that's because there are 3 terms. And terms are separated by addition or subtraction signs. So the x squared is a term, 7x is a term, and 12 is a term. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to break that into parentheses. We've been talking about FOIL, and FOIL is the opposite operation to what we're doing, which is the factoring. So expanding and factoring go back and forth. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to look for numbers that multiply together to equal 12. So I'm going to put some blanks over here. We're looking for 2 numbers that multiply together to equal 12. And those exact same numbers have to add together to equal 7. So our middle term. So this is our C value, and this is our B value when we're talking about our standard form of our equation. So numbers that multiply together to equal the C value and add together to equal the B value. So we go through our factors of 12. So we could do 6 times 2. That does multiply together to equal 12, but 6 plus 2 does not equal 7. So we're going to erase those. We could do 4 and 3. They multiply together to equal 12, and they do also add together to equal 7. So they hit both criteria. So that means that we take these 2 numbers that we've just found, and they go in our binomial. So if we want to check this, so that's our final answer. If we want to check, we're going to FOIL. And if we did it right, then we should go back to the original equation. So we get x squared, that's our first, plus 3x, plus 4x, plus 12. So x squared plus 7x plus 12. So that works.